Here at Hockenheim, we're getting ready for the first race of the weekend in the GT4 European Series powered by RAFA Racing Club. And it promises to be a very lively one indeed. 61 minutes of racing ahead of us, and with a very full field indeed. We've got some great racing in prospect, and it's been a really fascinating championship year thus far as well. We've got here Monza, and then the final weekend in the Middle East still to come. And right now, all of the classes having some great battles. The one where perhaps the easiest task is coming is in Am, where Laurent Hergon and Pascal Hutto's Alpine has been very much the car to beat. But in the other categories, we've had some great variety of winners and very few double winners over the course of both Silver and the Pro-Am championships thus far. Then number 3 Audi then is going to be started by Benjamin Lariche. That car third on the grid, pole position having gone the way of Luc Ibanez, who's already taken a race win this season. He lines up on pole position. But this is a car that's had good pace, but pretty rotten luck over the course of the year thus far. And there, Robert Consony, with a cheery wave, aims to put that right. In Silver, we've had 2 wins to Josh Rattigan and Tom Leben. They line up on pole position. 1 to Benjamin Lessin and Ricardo van der Ende. 1 to Luc Ibanez and Alex Papadopoulos. They're on pole position. A win also to Enzo Juliet, Etienne Shelley's Toyota, and Raphael Renhofer and Hugo Sasser's Aston Martin. And that is the pole position car then for tomorrow's race. But Tom Leben's time good enough for Q2 pole. It's 4th on the grid for race 1. Josh Rattigan doing the time today, and the Elite Motorsport run McLaren is still going to be one to watch, that is for sure. Number 24 Porsche lining up a little bit further back on the grid there, you can see. That's the car that comes from the JSB competition stable of Vinny Beltramelli and Florian Brichet. And that's, again, a quick car. Another one to watch in what is certainly a very open competition. In the background, you can possibly hear national anthems playing. That's from the GT World Challenge Europe podium. But Stefan Rattel has a walk up the grid to go and have a look at how his brainchild of GT4 has really blossomed over the last handful of years. He sees a huge grid stretching all the way back to the exit of the last corner. 82, the Aston there from the Racing Spirit of Le Mans team, is Jamie Day, the quick Brit, and Matteo Villagomez, the Ecuadorian driver. Jamie Day goes first, and he, as we've seen, is rapid both in British GT and in GT4 European Series. The GT4 cars, of course, closer to their road-going counterparts than a GT3 machine, but these are still serious bits of kit, and the GT4 concept now really has grown to be a very successful one all around the world, with not just a very popular British but European series. Of course, it's GT4 that is the category for the French GT Championship. No GT3 there. It's busy in Australia these days, in America, you name it, around the globe, GT4 is popular, and away from SRO Championships as well. There are plenty of GT4 cars in existence. This promises to be a really busy race as you look at 92, the Emil Heyerdahl and Nicolas Malloy Porsche. Number 30 is the car that Max Kronberg will share in the Pro-Am fight with Finn Zulauf. Max Kronberg and Finn Zulauf, double winners in Pro-Am over the course of the year in that Porsche Cayman. Max Kronberg's company adorning it. Another of the Rapid Caymans, but out of a different team. Number 22, the Allied Racing entered car of Herolind Nureddini and Leo Pichler. Herolind Nureddini will go first, and that is to be found on the inside of the 5th row of the grid, looking down on it. The grid very busy right now. The race itself, of course, will have the mandatory pit stop between 25 and 35 minutes. The BMWs, now there's another quirk over this, didn't qualify very well. We normally say that the BMWs race better than they qualify, and they certainly need to. There have been 1 or 2 BOP adjustments since qualifying, and they were in GT3 as well, and they really helped the BMWs. So whether it's going to be the same in GT4, we'll find out. But certainly you could expect to see those BMWs making some progress up the order. That is Alain Gabet, the Israeli driver who races in the German GT4 Championship, so he knows the circuit. He's new to GT4 European Series, but I think he's going to be one to watch over the course of this race. Let's go back to the grid, though, because Antonio Rankin has Tom Leben from number 78 McLaren.
Tom, not starting on the front grid where you've become kind of accustomed to.
No, Josh did a good job in qualifying, no track limits, which is what we were sort of aiming for, especially after testing. But yeah, we're up there for the fight. We'll see where we end up.
Yeah, we saw that track limits were a bit of an issue in the GT3 race. Is that something you're very aware of?
Yeah, we don't get a lot of chances over the hour, but we sort of have to play it safe and see where we end up, really.
And how will you maximise those chances? Obviously, I'm sure you do want to be on the front row by the end.
You sort of have to make the most of the situation. We struggle a little bit in a straight line, but we sort of have to make the most of where we're strong, especially in Sector 3.
Well, we'll see, won't we? Thank you very much. Best of luck.
Yeah, so the McLaren talking about being good in Sector 3. That's the twiddly bit at the end, if you like, the stadium. Mercedes Arena turns 8 to 11, and then the stadium at the end. So there are some tight corners in that might play to the McLaren strength. Fabio Rauer there in the number 100 Aston Martin from the Pro Sport stable. And the grid now being cleared. So it won't be long before we are in business then. They'll have a rolling start, and then we'll get set for race 1 of the 2 this weekend. Now, we know that GT4 European Series racing can produce incidents. It's always exciting, no question about that. But hopefully we can get through without too many interruptions. The racing at Spa was excellent. We had lots of drama at Misano. It's been another good year for GT4 racing. And with Mercedes and Ford on the front row, there, one of those grunt and go Mustangs. That's the car to be started here by Eric Evans, the American driver who was part of the British GT4 class-winning team last year, along with Matt Cowley. He knows these cars inside out. He races them in Britain as well as in this European series. That could be one to watch here in the new, very distinctive Liqui Moly livery that it adorns. We've got the 3-minute board, so the grid now being cleared. The engineers will stay to the 1-minute mark. And let's hear quickly from the poleman, Luke Ibanez, down on the grid then. Pole position in the Mercedes. Antonio Rankin is with him and can grab a word before we go racing.
Now, of course, sitting on pole is always the best position. You look quite comfortable there.
Yeah, quite comfortable. I did a really good lap, 4-2, but I think I can manage to now go to P1 and get a bit of up because we have a really good pace. Let's see now, but I think we can do a really good race with Alex.
Yeah, it's not a very long race, of course, and there's no room for making mistakes. Are you just eyes forward to the finish?
Yeah, the fight is a start, stay P1, and go concentrated because the car will be really fast. Let's see.
Well, I'll let you get on with it then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Luke Ibanez then on pole position in that Mercedes from the NM Racing team, and Eric Evans alongside. And with the very NASCAR-style number on the roof, there is no missing the Mustang, is there? There's another one further back on the grid as well, where it's sort of the reverse livery. Where there's red, there is blue on the other one, and you'll find that on the inside, a little bit further back. The camera pans right, it goes. McLaren with about 4 more rows, and then you'll see the Mustang there, door open on both sides, and that's the sister car, number 62, starting further back on the grid, and that's the one that's going to be started in this race by Will Moore. But after it, Lotus, Toyota, Porsche, the grid just goes on and on and on, and it illustrates now so many different brands in GT4 racing, so many teams coming into this as well. Now, number 7, we are being told, which is the Guillaume Bruot entered car for Stanislav Savronov and Alexander Weintraub, must enter the pit lane at the end of the formation lap. Now, that car should have been on the 11th row inside, but it's going to have to start from the pits. Now, there's a penalty attached to that, which I'll try and unravel as the engines fire up. And very shortly, the cars then are going to be released onto this formation lap. Pit window we've touched on. Now, what it is for number 7, I can't find a steward's bulletin instantly. So we'll try and unravel why that's going to be a pit lane starter. But first up, the grid is being cleared, and then we will get set to go. The 15-second board shown to the drivers then. So we are just about ready for them to be released onto the formation lap. The Lamborghini Huracan lead car will accelerate away. There it is at the front of the grid. And then on the green flag, the race cars will follow suit. And Luke Ibanez blasts away. So 2 real grunty cars, Mercedes and Ford on the front row. And then on the second row, Audi and McLaren, 2 very different styles of the GT4 concept. Qualifying as ever this morning, very important, with just 10 minutes per group. Silver had a qualifying session on their own, and so did the Pro-Am and Am cars get together. really for clear track space, but it's going to be, if you've been struggling in qualifying, a tough race to get through the traffic. Luc Ibanez then is on pole position. Eric Evans lining up alongside. Josh Rattigan starts fourth, with Benjamin Lariche on the inside of that row. The third row, Vinny Ventremeli and Roberto Faria, ahead of Nelson Panciotici's Alpine and Emil Heyerdahl's Porsche, starting eighth. Ninth is Haralind Nuradini. Jamie Day on the outside of that row, ahead of Alain Gabet in the WNS Motorsport Porsche, and Jem Hepworth starting 12th. Good qualifying efforts from her, ahead of John Lancaster and Ruben Del Sart. Etienne Shelley is going to go from the 8th row of the grid, alongside Finn Zulauf, then Alex Dennings McLaren, and the Nova Racing entry of Edwin Hellstein, the Porsche number 27. Then you've got Beke Bessler's BMW and Oscar Christensen's Porsche alongside. Stanislav Safronov will start from the pits, we're now told, from Jagish Gaidik alongside. Then it's Rafael Renhofer and Fabio Rauer, both for Pro Sport. Ricardo van der Ende is going to be next, with Ivan Ekelchik alongside, ahead of Pascal Hutto, the AM Championship leader, and Rick Bouthorn's Razzoon Run BMW. Will Moore and Alexander Machado come next. The Lotus is started by Dexter Patterson. Victor Bouveng in the BMW comes next, ahead of Emil Hruras and Gabriela Yorkova. Paul Petit's Porsche and the BMW of Davide Meloni are on row 18. Julien Brichet and Lonnie Martin's Porsches both row 19. And then Kevin Jimenez and Nathan Van Springel's Mustang on row 20. The 21st row, Adrien Pavio in the Speed Car Audi and Gustavo Xavier alongside him. Then it's Greg Gilbert alongside Julien Rippert. Mats Olsen has Christopher Brunhagen alongside him from Vasily Vladikin, and the second of the Mahiki Racing Lotuses for team principal Stephen Lake. Anton Hudson returns to the championship with his father Piotr, and he's on row 25 with Andy Cantu, who was feeling rather unwell yesterday for company, and Frederick Roy will start at the back of the grid, having in black flag from qualifying because he went out when he shouldn't in the silver driver's session, and he went through a red light at the end of the pit lane, so the officials rather lost their rag really, and didn't let him go back out, and put him to the back of the grid anyway. So fingers crossed that car can keep out of strife and make some progress over the course of 61 minutes of racing that we have here at Hockenheim. The cars coming out of turn 8, which is the Mercedes Arena, and then making the run up towards the grid. On board camera looking out of the front of the WNS Motorsport Porsche of Finn Zulauf. And as they come towards the stadium, the field will now start to put itself in that 2x2 formation, ready for the start of the race then. So 51 cars, going to make for a very busy racetrack. Do not be surprised if we had a visit from the safety car at some point over this. But that's not to wish it upon the race, but it's perhaps inevitable when it's such a competitive field. However, driving standards, you would say, over the last couple of years have really improved. The incidents are further and fewer between. Gone are the days of 3 or 4 interruptions to a race, as we had on occasions a few years back. So the cars now then come up towards the Sud curve. You're looking at the Sachs curve, which precedes it. There is the little wiggle up towards the Sud curve itself, which is another part of the racetrack where track limits has been a key part of the weekend. Up towards the exit of turn 17, then comes the front row. The lights on red at the moment will change in a moment to get race 1 for the GT4 European Series powered by RAFA Racing Club underway. It is blast off, and this huge field then pours down towards turn 1, with Luc Ibanez getting into the lead. Eric Evans goes second, and Josh Rattigan round the outside for third. Others go way, way wide, which in a sense is easier than trying to turn into the corner and risk contact. But contact there is, because there, filling the camera lens, was an errant car which looked a bit BMW shaped. That he's in the gravel, then down at turn 1 and trying to get out of there. We've got a yellow flag then in the first sector. Everybody else coming out of 3. The drone chasing after them. The car in question at turn 1 is still trying to get out of the gravel. I wonder whether it might be the Greg Gilbert BMW. And side by side for the race lead, we have then up the inside going Eric Evans, and the Mustang is going to try and hustle its way through. Under braking for the Spitzkehrer. Ford versus Mercedes. Eric Evans goes by into the lead then for Academy Motorsport, the Ford Mustang. this evolution of the GT4 Mustang. Others get pinched up the curb on the inside. Some run wide on the exit. Safety car deployed. So at the end of lap 1, we're going to go safety car, and it is with this BMW. I'm sure it's a BMW off in the gravel down at turn 1. Victor Bouveng's car is one that's not come by. So that, I fear, is the one in question. There it is. Well, I was right about it being BMW shaped at least. And Victor Bouveng's car has gone straight on, and he's out of the car. So maybe there was some suspension damage that caused the car to go off the road anyway and going no further. So Victor Bouveng out. And I wonder also whether the Alexandre Machado Aston Martin is still circulating, because there's a question mark over that. Anyway, safety car deployed in this opening GT4 race. There is the safety car that will join the circuit within the... now there's the other answer, 74. That's where Machado's car has come to grief. So I wonder whether they got themselves together going into turn 1, and the Aston Martin needs to be retrieved, but that has come to a stop possibly on the run up through the Parabolica to the Spitzkehrer. So 2 cars to retrieve. And at the end of lap 1, Eric Evans had done the work just in the nick of time, had need to put himself up front before we went safety car. So the leaders come by, and come by slowly, understandably, while the work goes on the outside of turn 1. And 1 or 2 of them, oh dear, overtaking, because the field's coming to a dead stop on the line. So slowly are some of them going, and now there's going to be a bit of shuffling to try and put the order right. This is at the back of the queue, just out of my window, where some of the cars come out of the last corner at a speed, but ahead of them, cars are virtually stopping, because as people slow at the front, it's like being on the motorway. There's this knock-on effect. That is the Victor Bouveng BMW, so he's trying to get that out of harm's way. Interesting that he's got back on board as though it can be driven now, but maybe there's a little bit more damage than we know, and I was right about it having stopped coming through the Parabolica in terms of the Alex Machado Aston. So that's out of harm's way. We've got into the pit lane as well now. The Vasily Vladikin Toyota, number 13. And yes, you can see the damage on the back of Bouveng's car. He would know that there was a either punctured tyre and or damaged suspension. So we are behind the safety car. The race director, Joël Doval, called for it, understandably, on that opening lap with 2 cars to remove. And we'll have a look at the start in a moment again and see whether we can piece together what may have happened to Victor Bouveng. So, as you see, Stanislas Safronov come down the pit lane for his penalised start. Everybody dives into turn 1. Cut away just before the contact in question. Have a look. It's towards the back of the pack where the drama came. In a moment, there'll be a BMW to fill the camera lens as the car's there. Charge up the straights, and the BMW bounces into view. This was how Finn Zulauf saw turn 1, getting crowded out to the outside. Skips back onto the circuit. There's the BMW spinning into view, and I think I'm right in saying that Alex Machado's Aston, yes, is slow off the corner, so it looks as though that got into the back of the BMW, turned it round. And the net result being then that car was a retirement coming out of here, turn 3. Safety car is still on track. Lights are still flashing. Race leaders go across the line. So another lap done by the safety car. And as the field goes into turn 1, there number 39, Aston Martin, in the queue, being driven by Roberto Faria. And it rather looks as though Vasily Vladikin's Toyota is not going much further, having pitted very early. It's just gone a lap down anyway. So the clear-up operation at turn 1 is just about done, I think. It's a case of getting that BMW out of the way and then making sure that it's parked somewhere safe, or has limped to somewhere safe. And the safety car will be in at the end of this lap. There's confirmation then. hairpin at the Spitzkehrer is then the race leader, Eric Evans. Lucky Ibanez in second place, Benjamin Lariche third in the Audi, fourth in that yellow McLaren, Josh Rattigan, fifth the leading Porsche, Vinnie Beltramelli, and then behind him he's got Emil Heyerdahl, number 92, the orange and white Cayman. That is the better placed of those from the Wimmerwerk stable. The incident between Machado and Bouveng at turn 1 is going to be investigated, and we will be going racing at the end of this lap. So 54.5 minutes are on the clock. The safety car accelerates away. It is now up to Eric Evans to get ready for the restart. Something he's well used to in terms of British GT, in other words, safety car restarts, but never as the outright race leader. So something a little bit different in that respect here, as the cars now sprint up towards turn 16, the first part of the Sud curve. The safety car is in the pit lane. The man with the green flag has been waving it for about 20 seconds, but still he sees no ships. And up towards the timing line in a moment will come the Ford Mustang. Now Eric Evans pulls the pin, thunders the Mustang out of the last corner up towards the timing line. We're back racing here at Hockenheim. The resumption then of the opening GT4 European Series powered by RAFA Racing Club race of the weekend. Eric Evans leads in the Mustang as 1 or 2 leap over the curb on the inside of turn 1, and then the run up towards the turn 2 right-hander, flick left at 3, and then you can sort of catch your breath and go through that long left of the Parabolica. Eric Evans leads the way. Lucky Ibanez then from pole position going after him. And then for third place, Benjamin Lariche in the Audi. He's dropped back just a little bit into the clutches of Josh Rattigan, who's absolutely flying in the McLaren. Fifth place, Vinnie Beltramelli's Porsche, but he's coming under attack now from the similar car of Emil Heyerdahl as they head up towards the hairpin. There's going to be a challenge, I think, made by, let's see, it's going to be Benjamin Lariche looking the Audi on the outside to try to get second place away from Lucky Ibanez. He can't do it on the outside, needs the undercut coming off the corner. Emil Heyerdahl has got himself past Beltramelli in that Inter-Nissan Porsche contest. Way out wide goes 812 John Lancaster, I fear that may have been, and a change for second place. Through on the inside line goes Benjamin Lariche. Lucky Ibanez gets run out wide and can't fight back. He's lost second spot then. And off the road goes Lariche. Too much speed carried into turn 8. Drifts out wide, and Lucky Ibanez is back up into second spot then. So the Mercedes goes by. 1 down and 1 up for Lucky Ibanez. Benjamin Lariche falls to third, and straight away has got Josh Rattigan on his case. Yellow flag, middle sector. Down they come towards the stadium. Eric Evans leads. Ibanez hustling on behind him as the cars now wriggle their way into the Sachs curve. That for third place is Lariche. Fourth, Rattigan behind him. Fifth, Heyerdahl now up past Beltramelli. And I think Nelson Panciotici's got the Alpine through as well. He has. There it is. Look, the blue and white Alpine number 36 right there on the back of the orange and white Porsche as the race leaders make the run now into the exit of the Sud curve towards the timing line. Evans leads then in the Mustang. Gives that car to Marco Signoretti, the Canadian driver for stint 2, and he's just done Eric Evans the fastest lap of the race as well. So he's gone through 0.999 of a second ahead. There's dust settling coming out of the last turn, although nobody in stride, just having run wide, I think, and kicking up the dust on that very dry grass. This is the drone shot looking at turn 2. Let's see whether we can go through 3. Still in 5th place behind Josh Rattigan. We can. And then that long, fast drag through the Parabolica up towards the Spitzkehrer. The leading am, by the way, Pascal Hutto, he's dropped quite a long way back in terms of track position, but still well clear in the lead of the class. Eric Evans is the leading silver, and the leading pro-am is number 30 Porsche of Finn Zulauf as the leaders scrabble through the Spitzkehrer hairpin. This, lap 5, with still 51 minutes of the race to go. More crowding as the field turns out of the hairpin. Dust kicked up further up the road, and now the cars blast their way down again into the left-hander of turn 8. Now, calm down, dare one say, ever so slightly on this lap. The yellow flag that we had a lap ago has now disappeared, so everyone's still circulating, although we did have 1 or 2, like Stephen Lake's Lotus and Rick Bouthorn's BMW, dropping back on that last lap of the race. The leaders are coming down from the Mercedes arena to the stadium. Eric Evans still in charge, as further back there, Enzo Juliet and Etienne Chiali's Toyota, with Etienne Chiali at the wheel, tries to make a move. Out of the Sachs curve now. Finn Zulauf's view. So Zulauf on the back of Herolin Nuradini there. There's the Allied Racing car of Nuruddini. The lead gap, by the way, looks to the eye to have come down a little bit. Eric Evans leading last time by 9 tenths. There it is. This time by 4 tenths. Ibanez right with him then. He's just done the fastest lap of the race. Luke Ibanez. That gap has come right down between the two of them. It's game on there. Mustang versus the Mercedes AMG behind. The Ford holding sway, but only just as they come up towards turn 2. Let's see also whether if they do start squabbling, that enables Benjamin Lariche to get a little bit closer behind in that third place Audi. Uki Ibanez then taking that fastest lap of the race award, the CrowdStrike fastest lap. Mansell goes his way. But on this part of the circuit, advantage Mustang, look, because the margin stretches out once again. Hard braking there. Porsche's switch order. So Nuruddini, Zulauf, all getting themselves together, and Beltramelli is the one that benefited. So Nuruddini was ahead of Beltramelli, not anymore, because Vinny Beltramelli gets back past him, and this is Finn Zulauf's view. So 8th, 9th, 10th. Zulauf battling with the Silver Cup cars, even though he's running in Pro-Am, and the Zulauf Porsche is the yellow and grey one there, third in that four-way Porsche Cayman 718 Battle Pack. Great noise for the Porsches as they flash past the wall cam down towards the stadium again. So Luke Ibanez still pressing on and off the road, bounces Nuruddini, runs really wide out of 12, rear wheels kicked into the air. That won't have done the floor of the car a huge amount of good. Let's see whether it can survive. Then the Allied Racing entry coming now into turn 15, but Herolin Nuruddini losing ground, losing places, and risking damage out of all of that as the leaders go through. 4 tenths of a second last time it was between Evans and Ibanez, and now Evans does the fastest lap of the race, 1:48.265, but it's still that margin hovering around just 4 tenths of a second. It's not come out at all. The number 13 Toyota of Vladikin, we understand, is an engine drama, but there's drama here for Eric Evans, and that drama is Luke Ibanez, who is breathing right down his neck coming out of turn 3, and now that margin is possibly going to stretch on the run up towards the Spitzkehrer hairpin, because this is the part of the circuit where the Mustang seems to have just a little bit more pace. Into the braking area now. Turn into the right-hander, get back onto the power. In third place, Benjamin Lariche, who briefly held second, remember, early on in the race, trying to come back at the top 2. And then in fourth place, that yellow McLaren is Josh Rattigan. In fifth place, Emil Heyerdahl, the best of the Porsche pedalers from Nelson Panciotici's Alpine. So lots of variety in terms of the brands, all up at the front of the queue. The leading group swoops into the Mercedes arena. Herolin Nuruddini, after his rally crossing of a lap ago, fell back into 11th spot. Needs to try to recover from that. What about the BMWs? Beke Beschler 12th, Ricardo van der Ende 13th as the second of the elite McLarens there. Gets itself in on the act. Alex Denning's car, 27. You can see that is the Eric Hellstein entry. Edvin Hellstein in the Nova Racing, the Swedish team's Porsche. And out wide there goes, that's the second of the elite McLarens, is it not? So that is going to be Alex Denning. Peering through the dust, he got that wrong at turn 12 by the look of it. Bounces his way back towards the circuit. Race leaders have gone through. So in Pro-Am then, you've got this battle going on between Finn Zulauf and Edvin Hellstein, and it was Hellstein just ahead as they came out of turn 2 for the overall lead, and for silver, Eric Evans keeping at bay that Mercedes of Luke Ibanez, and on this part of the racetrack ought to be able to stretch that margin once more. Despite the fact they're so evenly matched and battling for the race lead, they aren't getting away again from Lariche. The Audi seems to be good again through the tight bits. Here, Zulauf is under attack now from Beke Beschler. He's lost his class lead anyways, Finn Zulauf, because up and past him has gone Edvin Hellstein, and the yellow Porsche is about to lose out. This is the view from Zulauf's car. Look right, is there a flash of blue BMW up the inside? There's definitely one alongside, and now it's ahead. Through goes the Turkish driver Beke Beschler, puts another place then on the Porsche. towards the stadium they come. 17 BMW, Misano winner Ricardo van der Ende, he hustles on. And Zulauf dropping like a stone right now. He's falling place after place after place. The leaders come down towards the stadium. We've got 10 minutes before that pit window opens, so still this battle can rage on. Bouncing out wide onto the curb on the outside of the road was Lucky Ibanez trying to apply that pressure to Eric Evans, who grabs a gear, brings that V8 iron out of the corner. Makes a great noise when it comes over the line, that car, that is for sure. Got another pitting Porsche, Lonnie Martins, into the pit road incidentally, as the lead cars come out of turn 17 up towards the line, and a bit of a slide by Evans puts him up wide over the curb, and that gives the momentum to Ibanez, but the Mustang moves across to defend. So the Ford still leading as they dive into turn 1. Ibanez goes a little bit deep in, then tight out, and that's going to give him the run all the way up to turn 2. Here they come, level pegging them. Mercedes versus Ford, Ibanez versus Evans. On the inside line, Luke Ibanez goes through into the lead of the race. Good past that, but he goes a little bit deep into the corner. Eric Evans will slot in behind him and try and use all of the grunt coming out of turn 3 to gain track position up towards the Spitzkehrer. Here they go, side by side. Mustang back through on the inside, and he just breezes back into the lead, doesn't he? Soul destroying for Ibanez. Great news for Eric Evans, so he knows he's got the pace in this car. And while they squabble, so Benjamin Lariche is still trying to hunt them down. Brake hard for the Spitzkehrer hairpin. Turn right. This is turn 6. The run now down towards the Mercedes arena, and Eric Evans as the race leader, still in charge. Just he had a bit of a wake-up call on that lap, and that is that Ibanez, who had fallen to 3rd at one point, remember, can even get himself into the lead of the race. 4th in the background, Josh Rattigan. Nelson Panciatici in the Alpine is still there in 5th place, having got himself up past Emil Heyerdahl. Jamie Day is now 7th, Vinny Beltramelli is 8th, Edwin Helstein is 9th to lead Pro-Am, and Berke Beschler is up into the top 10. So Finn Zulauf's car is the one we're a bit concerned about, as it's been falling place after place. That's the top 3 within silver, and they're all in the same camera shot then. Evans ahead of Ibanez, ahead of Lariche. Race leaders, nose to tail, into the Sudkurve. Ford versus Mercedes. Eric Evans is the driver that goes wider. And up towards the timing line they come. Again, nose to tail. This is where Lucky Ibanez was able to try to make his move out of turn 1 on that previous lap. This time maybe not quite as close. He was a 1/10 of a second back, and Evans, look, he's wise to it. Covers off the inside line on the run out of turn 1. Ibanez tries to go to the inside, but a lap ago he was totally alongside by this point and able to outbrake the Mustang. And again, Evans covers off the inside line. The American driver who came to Europe to race a couple of seasons ago, had a whole new heap of circuits to learn about and a new culture, but has done a really good job, and an impressive driver is Eric Evans. Marco Signoretti, his Canadian co-driver, getting set to take over that car into the 2nd stint of the race as the field now makes that run once more up into the Spitzkehrer. Right now, brake, turn right. Drama there for number 100 that has stopped by the side of the road, Fabio Rauer in the Pro Sport Aston. And that is, by the look of it, within the stadium. He says hesitant because I should be able to see him out of the window. I can. He's pulled off on the way up towards turn 16, the last corner. Actually, the car might be able to roll downhill from there, but we'll see. There'll be yellow flags in that sector, no doubt, just to warn the cars in sector 3 that there is a stranded car. The BMW of Ricardo van der Ende towering over the Porsche ahead there of Vinny Beltramelli as they come down towards the stadium. To the inside line goes van der Ende, Beltramelli fending him off. And while that's going on, so Berke Beschler up the road is getting away. Berke Beschler shares that car with last year's Silver Cup champion Gabriele Piana. So progress being made at the end of the stint. Always good news, because we know that Piana is really quick in these cars. There in strife, another of the Mustangs, number 1, that is Nathan van Springel, stationary by the side of the road. And Nathan van Springel trying to rejoin, but problems for that car as well. So that's 2 stranded around the circuit. And 5 minutes of the pit window opening as the leaders come up towards turn 2 once again. And have a look at the background. Full send by Josh Rattigan up the inside. But Benjamin Lariche saw it coming. It was a bit telegraphed, that, and so he was able to move across in time. Josh Rattigan, though, all of a sudden has arrived right back on the tail of that Audi. He was nowhere a couple of laps ago in relation to a 3rd place battle. Now, very much in contention he is. Evans, though, getting away on that long run up towards the Spitzkehre, and that is where Nathan van Springel has stopped by the look of it, and we have got a yellow flag being waved because we're going to go full course yellow with that car in an awkward place there. Look, full course yellow is called. So lap 10, full course yellow, and this may well mean that the pit window is pushed back a little bit depending on how long it takes to get that car out of the way. So the gaps don't come down as such, they have to run at this delta speed. And Eric Evans in charge, 10 laps in the book. Nathan van Springel's car will be attached to a tow rope, taken off the circuit, and depending on how long that takes, it might be that we can rejoin the race straight from full course yellow. We might need a safety car lap just to get things back up to temperature. We shall see as number 3, Benjamin Lariche, goes by. 4.5 minutes to the pit window now. Time to catch breath, really, after a very lively start to the race. What was that I said about GT4 not having interruptions anymore? Yes. So, with Fabio Rauer's car being retrieved within the stadium, with Nathan van Springel's car being retrieved over at the Spitzkehre hairpin at turn 6, we may well have a further lap of safety car activity just to bring things back up to temperature, but we will confirm that. The road is clear in the stadium at least. But it's not clear over at turn 6 yet because the course vehicle, I think, needs to let the traffic go before it feels brave enough to pull out. And it does so now. So I'm looking to see where the safety car may well be at the moment, if it's on the track or not, ready to scoop up the leaders, who are coming over the line, in fact. And Eric Evans, Luc Ibanez, Benjamin Lariche. Now, Lariche was 2 seconds back last time, and he's now about 2/10ths back as they come over the line. So he has gained quite a bit of ground on this full course yellow lap. Lots of track limit warnings being peppered at the drivers. There is your leading AM. That is the Pascal Hutto driven Alpine. Away goes Nathan van Springel's Ford Mustang, and there is the safety car ready to do at least one lap to try and get everybody up to temperature. Tyres, brakes, tyres up to pressure, and this, as I say, may well push back the opening of the pit window just to enable, and it has indeed been confirmed, pit window delayed, just to enable a lap or two of safety car, and then the race will go green and the pit window can open. So the safety car picks up the field. Eric Evans, having tried to build a lead, only got about a second, and that's negated now with Luc Ibanez right up behind him. We understand that the number 1 Mustang was a victim of contact. 98 Victor Bouveng's BMW had damage, mechanical issues, flat tyre, so that car sadly going no further. And the safety car will be in at the end of this lap, so just one lap really, in part to scoop up the stragglers, I think, and just try and quicken the pace, so it will peel in. And the pit window delayed, it might actually have coincided here. Let's have a look at the Ford and the Mustang of Eric Evans. The Mercedes of Luc Ibanez coming into the last corner. Eric Evans nailing the throttle. This happened a few laps back when I said he'd gone wide, and this was why, because the car had a beautiful slide, both of them way wide up the curb. So, safety car will be in this time, and Eric Evans will lead the way. There's a green flag on the start line, but again, the drivers taking their time. Eric Evans getting everybody slowed up behind him. There are still people pressing on coming into the stadium, trying to play catch-up, so he's kind of doing them a favour in a way. The Mustang will accelerate eventually, coming out of turn 17, round about. Now, onto the pit straight, And we go racing then. And a good restart by Eric Evans, because he's got the drop on Ivaniev, who's under attack from Benjamin Lariche and in turn Josh Rattigan as they go into turn 1. And now with them all bunched up, it's going to be a real scramble heading up into the turn 2 right-hander, although Ivaniev, in fairness, has made a pretty good recovery after that start, because he's right back there on the tail of the Mustang. Now he's right alongside the Mustang as they come off the corner. He's up the inside, he's all up the curb. Eric Evans stays ahead. Great racing between these two, and in the background, way off the racetrack, has gone Jamie Day in the Aston Martin, and that's going to drop him down the order as the leaders blast up towards the Spitzkehrer. And again, the power of that Mustang through this part of the circuit, very impressive to see. The pit window is now open, so the delay has been rescinded because we're back racing, so the window is open. And at the end of this lap, you'll see some, no doubt, go for the pit lane. Up into 3rd place, Emil Heyerdahl. Consony has lost out, sorry, Lariche has lost out in the Audi, and he's tumbled at least 2 places down the order. You can see a shuffled order coming into view with way out wide there going Beke Bechler's BMW. So it is Eric Evans leading from Lucky Ivaniev. Emil Heyerdahl is 3rd, 4th equal, kind of, Benjamin Lariche and Josh Rattigan. Then you've got Nelson Panciatici ahead of Ricardo van der Ende, BMW. And I think Beke Bechler is next in the queue. So Van der Ende has been one making some progress. Heyerdahl has made progress on this restart lap as well. And now the fascination is going to be to see who comes in when and how that's going to shuffle the order in the opening of the window now. People can pit. That's legit. And through they will come. Number 12, Gabriele Piana there, hustling on, working hard to try to get himself up a place, or sorry, Gabriele Piana's co-driver, I should say, Beke Bechler, ready to hand over to Piana on the pit stop. Into the pits comes Jamie Day, into the pits comes Finn Zulauf, so 1 or 2 are in early. I think also you've got the other Wimmerberg entry coming down the pit lane as well for Ivan Ekelchik to give way to Nikolai Moller-Madsen. And then now, nose to tail up towards turn 2. Again, Evans versus Ivaniev. Those two absolutely together. Ivaniev tries the outside line at 2, the inside for 3, but he can't even stay alongside on that lap. So he tries and fails, and now we'll perhaps watch that Mustang disappear up the road. There is a 10-second time penalty at the pit stop coming the way of number 11. BMW, that's the Yagish Gedic Pedro Ibrahim car for causing a collision, and a 10-second time penalty for John Lancaster for causing a collision in 812 McLaren as well. That's the car that he shares with Rafa Martinez. John Lancaster doesn't often do things like that. There, into the pit lane already, look, is the McLaren of Alex Denning for the Elite Motorsport stable. Alex Denning will give that car over to Tom Emson. And there's contact there, as up the inside of Josh Rattigan cannons Benjamin Lariche and forces him out wide. Lariche wisely slots back in behind rather than stealing the place from him. He can attack again, but Ricardo van der Ende and Beke Bechler in the BMWs there, right up with them all of a sudden. Van der Ende in the sort of pseudo-works coloured car. The bright blue one is that of Bechler. Up past the McLaren goes van der Ende. Benjamin Lariche runs out wide. Ricardo van der Ende on his toes then to try to go one side. Up the inside looks the McLaren. Lariche with a bit of damage, fending them off. Back up the inside of van der Ende is going the Rattigan McLaren. This the view from onboard van der Ende. He stays ahead, but not for long. The McLaren squeezes back up the inside. That forces van der Ende a little bit deeper into turn 16 than he wanted. So, big battles go on. The leaders have gone through once again. It's still Evans ahead of Ivaniev, but Emil Heyerdahl in 3rd place. He's catching the hand over fist. Rattigan is 4th. Lariche is 5th. 6th is van der Ende. 7th there is Bechler. Down to 8th then has gone Rattigan. He's lost out on the restart. And the pit lane is becoming very busy indeed. There's a whole queue of cars making their way in for the pit stops now. Teams with 2 of them try not to double stack. There's the other Academy Mustang coming in. Will Moore to give way to Matt Nicol-Jones, whose team it is. And 81 with the door open. That is now going to have Jemima Hepworth give way to Cam Lawrence, who was very quick in his qualifying session this morning as well. So, Eric Evans leading Luke Ivaniev, but the real gun at the moment is Emil Heyerdahl, lapping quicker than the top 2. There he is, and that Porsche is very nearly with them now. Heyerdahl, who started quite a long way back on the grid relative to the others. He was only 8th. He will give way to Nicholas Malloy on the stops. The rest file through. Ricardo van der Ende set to give way to Benjamin Lassen. And there is the recovering McLaren as well of Josh Rattigan as it goes into turn 8. big effort being made there from Ricardo van der Ende. He's coming to the end of his stint. He'd like some more places if he can get them. He's also got Beke Bessler right up behind him. So this is teeing us up nicely for a very interesting second part of this race as the leaders come up towards turn 16. And Beke Bessler crawling all over the back of here. Ricardo van der Ende, who's just drops a length against Benjamin Lariche. The leaders have stayed out for one more lap, so has Emil Heyerdahl stayed out for one more lap as well. In comes Bessler to give way to Piana. Ivaniev again chancing his arm on the inside to try to go for the race lead, to no avail. Into the pit lane has come Josh Ratikan's McLaren. Into the pit lane, more and more of them pour. Rafael Renhofer is in. So now, Eric Evans versus Luc Ibaniev. They are still together for the race lead, and Emil Heyerdahl right there with them now in third place. That Porsche has been looking really good over the last 2 or 3 laps. Although having said that, just dropped a bit of time coming up maybe through turn 1 and 2 on this lap. Into the hairpin then turns Benjamin Lariche's teammate in the other Audi. That now number 300 is the car of Nicolas Markovics. Very nearly a lap down after its pit stop. The team speed car entry having been taken over by Markovics. There are the leaders. Evans and Ibaniev go through. And Emil Heyerdahl's Porsche, maybe that was just a bit of an illusion. Maybe it had benefited from the safety car period and all the battles. Now that things have settled down, it might not quite have the pace that it needs. But what's interesting, of course, with the pit stops for some having cycled through now, is just how spread out around the racetrack the cars are. That'll all kind of reform after the leaders have stopped, and Ibaniev there being delayed a little bit by the Audi. Not deliberately, but he just couldn't find a way through before the Audi had to turn into the stadium and therefore take its line for the corner. So the leader should be coming in this time. He is, and Luc Ibaniev will stay out for one more lap. So finally, the Mercedes is going to lead across the timing line. So Luc Ibaniev now is officially the race leader. And into the pit lane comes Eric Evans, being chased in by Emil Heyerdahl. Benjamin Lessen yet to take over from Ricardo van der Ende. Watches the BMW go up into second place now. And Benjamin Lariche still staying out in the Audi in third. So almost everybody done, but those that haven't pitted are running this really fine, that's for sure. Evans out, Signoretti in. Battle on here as well. Inside line claimed by the Porsche. That's now Nikolai Müller-Madsen's car. Gets up through the traffic, fighting against number 78 McLaren. That's now been handed over from Josh Ratikan to Tom Levin. Tom Levin there goes into the stadium. But Müller-Madsen, who's been the Silver Cup champion back in the Phoenix Audi days, 5 or 6 years ago or so, fending him off right now. The sister car to Müller-Madsen's, which was started by Emil Heyerdahl, now being given to Nick Malloy. Max Kronberg goes around the outside there. 61 blasts away, so Marco Signoretti goes out ahead of Nick Malloy, maintaining track position therefore. Over the line comes the BMW there, which is Gabriele Piana now. So he's going to be in the mix, isn't he, for third place, I would offer you, depending on where Ibaniev's car of Alex Papadopoulos forms back in after its stop. Number 81 is now being given a 10-second time penalty at the end of the race for causing a collision. 81 is the Jem Hepworth Cam Lawrence car, so that's both the RAFA McLarens given penalties for causing collisions. Just look how busy it is now as Rafa Martinez himself gets ready for his McLaren. John Lancaster will bring it in, and into the pits has come the race leader. So Luc Ibaniev is in. Ricardo van der Ende out of second place is in. Benjamin Lariche out of third is in. John Lancaster from fourth is in. Now we need to see where they feed back in at the end of the pit stop. 72 seconds line to line is what they have to be looking for. Anything under a minute and 12 seconds, and you can anticipate a penalty, and there is one. Oh dear. Number 61 did a 1 minute 11. Now you're allowed 1 second tolerance as a joker, which you can use in one race or the other. They may have to use that. They can't do it again. And another car that was a little bit short was number 5, Josh Miller. That was 3/10 under. So this car, Marco Signoretti at the wheel, leads the way. And there, number 92, Nikolai Moller-Madsen doing, sorry, 92, Nick Malloy in Emil Heyerdahl's car doing the chasing. So these two heading up towards the line. We need to see where they are in relation to those that are finishing their pit stops and are going to be on the move in a moment. On the move is Benjamin Lessen's BMW. On the move now is Alex Papadopoulos. He stays ahead of the BM. They're both staying ahead of the Audi of Robert Consony, but into turn one goes then the Mustang. It's going to be close this, but it looks as though the Mercedes is going to come out ahead. It is, but only just. So on the pit stops, Alex Papadopoulos has got the lead, but Marco Signoretti is a lap into his stint. He knows the car, he knows the field, he knows the track a little bit better than does Papadopoulos, and this is also coming up to the Mustang-friendly part of the racetrack. Here then comes Marco Signoretti. He's up alongside Alex Papadopoulos, and back into the lead goes the Mustang, number 61 then. Through goes Marco Signoretti, and that puts him up then into the lead of the race, ahead of Alex Papadopoulos in the Mercedes. So it's as you were, really, from the first stint into the second. Mustang versus Merc, and the two of them tied together, Mustang ahead. And now Alex Papadopoulos will encounter what Luki Baniev did, the frustration of being glued to the tail of that Mustang. Behind them then, in third place, it should be Nick Malloy in number 92 Porsche, as away now after its penalised pit stop. In other words, with the extra time to be served, goes Rafa Martinez. So, race order there. It is up front. The Mustang of Marco Signoretti from in second place, Alex Papadopoulos. In the background, third is Nick Malloy, but fourth is Gabriele Piana in the blue BMW. And it won't be long, I don't think, before that becomes a real fight. And in fact, they're almost overlapping going into the Sachs curve. You just got a glimpse of it as they came into the corner. They're now side by side for third place, going up towards turn 16. I can see it out of the window. And as you look at the leaders in the background, there'll be a flash of blue in a moment. And that is Gabriele Piana having moved his way through. There he is, up into third spot. So the important change for third place has happened then, because Piana, last year's Silver Cup champion, absolutely on a mission, absolutely flying. And we've said it at every GT4 event this year, the Borosan cars seem to race better than they qualified. Here is more evidence of it. So number 12, Gabriele Piana at the wheel now, pressing on. The car started from the 10th row of the grid. It started 19th. We had a BMW start 19th in the earlier GT3 race and come through for second. So can Piana do the same thing? Can he emulate what WRT did in GT3 earlier on in the day? Right now, more battles go on, including there the sister BMW number 11 that has now got Pedro Ebrahim behind the wheel. Just up the road ahead is the Alpine of Antoine Leclerc. Ahead of him is the Porsche number 22 of Leo Pichler. That's the Allied Racing car with the blue front. We've got 22 minutes still on the clock here as they turn up through the Spitzkehre. But Marco Signoretti, 0.4 of a second to the good over Alex Papadopoulos. They really need to be worried, though, about Piana behind in that BMW as the sister car up the inside. Pedro Ebrahim almost swatting cars out of the way. Goes to the outside there against Antoine Leclerc's Alpine. Runs out of road, off the track and back on again. Proof of how hard Brazilian driver Pedro Ebrahim is trying here. And right there behind him is Leo Pichler for Allied Racing in the Cayman. Lots of dust being kicked up further up the road. Bodywork ripped off that car of Hugo Sassa. He's taken it over from Raphael Renhofer, and he's made it lighter by going off the road. I can see debris lying on the grass verge there in the stadium part of the circuit. So Hugo Sassa carrying on, despite a little bit of damage to the Aston Martin. And there's a car with a problem slowly heading over the line. Look, you can see the orange and white Porsche. That's Nikolai Moller-Madsen, and he is not going as quickly as he ought to be. He's just lost a place to Tom Levin, and that car was slow coming out of turn 17. It looks okay now. Nikolai Moller-Madsen's last lap was a 1:51 against the 50s and 49s of those around him. Might have been a shift problem. May have been that he hit a curb and delayed himself, but Nikolai Moller-Madsen was slow-ish over the line, but now looks like he's being able to drive around that problem. and indeed fighting back against the McLaren. At 78, Tom Leben's car, bearing in mind it was 4th in the first stint early on in the race with Josh Rattigan at the wheel, has lost a big amount of time. They lost some on that safety car restart, but in the second stint, that car dropping down as well. I think we've seen that before as well. Got good pace early on and then starts to fade, but at Spa, won both races. Yellow flag in sector 1 now. Looks left out of window, can't see anything. But something has happened within the first sector of the lap that has brought out a yellow flag. More drama, squealing of tyres down into turn 8 then as late breakers arrive on the corner. 96 Lotus is the reason for the yellow. It's up at turn 2. And the Mahiki Racing car stranded by the side of the circuit. That's the Dexter Patterson Max Bird car. Max Bird at the wheel of it. And sadly, not looking as though it's going to go much further instantly. Now, quite often the race directors will give a driver, say 30 seconds or so, to do a sort of full restart, reboot. If it won't move after that, then they'll have to intervene. So we'll see whether that car does get away or not. Very, very wide there goes Hugo Sassa. And we've got one of the Borusan BMWs coming into the pit lane. Now, I reckon that might well be 11, which is Pedro Ibrahim. It is, I think. So why is he coming into the pit lane? We've not been told about a penalty for that car. So as you look at the sister car of Gabriele Piana, now 3rd and right on the tail of Alex Papadopoulos for 2nd place. All of this is enabling Marco Signoretti to try to build a gap, and he will need to, given the pace that Piana has got. Hugely experienced BMW GT4 racer is Gabriele Piana, and he goes to the outside line, look, as they dive down towards the Spitzkehrer, and he needs to get on with this because we're about to go full course yellow. Can he get the job done before the yellows come? We've had the 20-second count, and now the full course yellow is deployed, and he couldn't quite get through in time. So Gabriele Piana slows right down as he sees the 2nd full course yellow. This now lap 21 that we're on. And this will be to move that car, Max Bird's Lotus, that, as you can see, has come to a halt at turn 2. So Max Bird, who we've seen racing in Ginettas and Minis and Porsches in the UK, switching to GT4 style cars this year. And of course the Lotus still being developed each time out. New car for this year. Pedro Ibrahim's BMW, I think I mentioned, had pitted, and it's stayed in the pits. Also coming in, number 66, the Toyota of Cindy Goudet that she shares with Gabrielle Yilkova. So field turns on, and 17 3/4 minutes of the race remain here at Hockenheim. This first GT4 European Series race of the weekend. Full course yellow boards being shown. And so their race leader, Marco Signoretti, turning his way now into the exit of turn 17 up towards the timing line. And the longer, of course, we have a full course yellow period last, the greater the chance of having a safety car period to resume the race. That looks as though we are going to have it. The Lotus is removed, and our safety car now called. So our 2nd full course yellow into safety car, just to restart the race, really, resume the race. But what that does for Signoretti is it brings down the gap, and it also gives Gabriele Piana there another good chance of taking 2nd place away from Alex Papadopoulos, because everything will close up, ready for the resumption of the race. So lots of weaving to get the warmth into the tyres, to get the pressures back up. And Gabriele Piana there now starts to accelerate to close onto the back of Papadopoulos. 15 3/4 minutes of the race to go. Clock ticking on down. Still a lot that can pan out of the resumption of the race here. But the Mustang, could it be on the verge of a first ever win in GT4 European Series for Academy Motorsport? Matt Nicol-Jones, who is 18th, is the owner of the team. It's not his car, admittedly, it's the sister car, looked after by Andrew Dean, who I think I'm right in saying the sort of team principal here, celebrated a birthday a day or so ago. So this would be a pretty decent present for him if there's a win in the offing. And both cars showed good pace, but were victims of contact and reliability woes a week ago at Snetterton. If they could come out on top here, it would be quite something. So those yellow flags still wave, but it'll be one lap at least behind the safety car after this. We've not been told that it's coming in, and as the field comes through the stadium, the lights indeed are still on top of the safety car. So one more lap. There, number 31, the guest entry for the weekend from W&S. Tano Neumann has taken over from the Israeli Alain Gabay. Alain Gabay and Tano Neumann, both German GT4 Championship regulars, coming to see how they fare in the European Series. I'm liking it, and hopefully we'll come back. So, it won't be long, I think, before we are in business. Hopefully one more lap. And the safety car will be in at the end of the lap. That's confirmed by the race director, Joël Doval. So, race order, Marco Signoretti leads outright from Alex Papadopoulos, Gabriele Piana in third, Benjamin Lassenne now fourth, Nick Malloy fifth, Robert Consani sixth, Mathieu Villagomez seventh, Josh Miller is eighth, Nikolai Muller-Madsen is ninth, despite the problem I feared the car had, still going. 10th is Tom Leben, tomorrow's pole man. Antoine Leclerc is 11th, Hugo Sasser is 12th, and then 13th place at the moment. It is number 44, the Allied Racing Maximilian Anglard Porsche. Behind him in 14th place, Tano Neumann, and it is Florian Brichet in 15th place. Right, the Mustang is getting quite used to having safety car restarts. Now it's Marco Signoretti's turn to have to do one. Through we come, out then of the Sachs Curva. A little bit of a climb, and Signoretti seems to go a little bit earlier, doesn't he? The safety car's not yet into the pit lane, but Marco Signoretti accelerating away, and Gabriele Piana has fallen quite a long way back from the Mercedes, and we are told that the safety car is going to stay out. Now, it said on the timing screen, safety car in this lap, but it has stayed out, so there is presumably something else that needs attending to. Plot thickens. So the safety car does another lap. Now looking at the order to see if anybody has suddenly gone missing, and therefore there's another incident that needs clearing, but as yet there's nothing obvious. Now the safety car in at the end of this lap, Legend, has come back onto the timing screen, so this time I think it means it. Yeah, we have lost a car. We've lost Paolo Maloney's BMW, and that would have been in 31st place. So maybe that had a problem and just needed to be pushed out of the way, which is why we've had the extra safety car lap. So Paolo Maloney's BMW from the Pro-Am battle, I fear, is the reason that we've had this slight extension to the safety car period of the race. So the race leader, Marco Signoretti, turns towards the exit of the Mercedes arena. That's the Lamborghini hurtling past the wall cam. And then the different sounds, different engine notes boom past as well. Right, safety car is going to be in. Everybody now bunches up. We are good to go racing. We've got just over 10 minutes on the clock now, but it'll be about 9.5, I guess, by the time Marco Signoretti comes over the line. And he really needs to try to stack Papadopoulos into the clutches of Gabriele Piana, but he doesn't want Piana to get past too easily, too soon. He wants to get on with the programme of building a lead if he can do it. So, tick, tick, tick. 9 minutes, 44 seconds, 43, 42, up towards the line. I was predicting 9.5 when we went green. It won't be too far off that, because up towards the line then now comes Marco Signoretti. He goes across the timing line now with 9 minutes and 32 seconds on the clock. Alex Papadopoulos behind, and on board here with Benjamin Lessen, fourth. That is Gabriele Piana ahead of him as we're back green, heading up towards turn 2, and again the Mustang just edges away a little bit in a straight line, coming up towards the turn 2 hairpin now, turning to the right-hander. Second Papadopoulos, third Piana, fourth then the white BMW of Benjamin Lessen. Still got some of the stragglers coming over the line to resume their race, but already the leading group is on its way up towards the Spitzkehrer. This is Benjamin Lessen, right on the back of Piana, who's right on the back of Papadopoulos as they go through the Parabolica. And look at the gap already that's been pulled by Marco Signoretti. Piana goes second then in the BMW. 19th to second, and round the outside goes Lessen, but he brakes late and the car squirms into the corner. Briefly third, back down to fourth, and now he's attacking Papadopoulos in the Mercedes. So Gabriele Piana pressing on. Now let's see what he can do about the leader, Marco Signoretti, with just over 8.5 minutes to go. The Ibanez Papadopoulos Mercedes back down to third, up the inside. Big lunge there by Lessen. Has he done it? Looks like it. On his outside and back through goes Alex Papadopoulos. Massano race winner retakes then that third place, and all of that serving to delay Lessen and allow Piana to escape up the road. So Marco Signoretti over the curb, coming into the stadium. There is Papadopoulos defending for all he's worth from Lessen. Nick Malloy is back with them, and Robert Consony has been forced back a spot, has he not? Because Mathieu Villagomez has got ahead of the Audi on this lap. The Aston Martin then in the background, number 82, has got up past. And I think also you've got Josh Miller's car looking to further make progress as well as the leader comes through. Marco Signoretti looking down from the drone, coming now out of turn 17. Mustang, then a gap. Piana second in the BMW, 7/10 back. Third, Papadopoulos. Lessen, fourth. Malloy, fifth. Villagomez, sixth. Consony, Muller-Madsen, Leclerc. Miller down to 10th, in fact. Leben is down to 11th. And then Maximilian Anglard is 12th as the leaders come through. And number 11 is being given an 18-second time penalty for a short pit stop. That's the Ebrahim BMW, who was there being roughed up by Robert Consony. Is Nikolai Muller-Madsen, who gets way out into the weeds coming towards the Parabolica. That's not going to go down well, and Muller-Madsen's Porsche losing more and more and more places then. He was 8th and has just tumbled down the order. Now, Benjamin Lessen is being given a 10-second time penalty at the end of the race for causing a collision. Benjamin Lessen, number 17 BMW, and also being given a penalty is the Dexter Patterson Max Bird Lotus for causing a collision. Well, that doesn't really matter, it's out of the race. That does. Number 17 BMW goes third, but to apply 10 seconds post-race, that's going to tumble it down the order. The Pedro Ebrahim BMW penalty is also a bit irrelevant because that never resumed after its second pit stop with a problem. So that's sort of fallen off the relevant list as well. But for Benjamin Lessen, he's going to have to really push now to try and claw any of that 10 seconds back. He needs to get away from Papadopoulos and hope that Nick Malloy can attack him. And that's Malloy in real strife coming back into view. He ran it a little bit wide out of the Sachs curva, and look at the way he's just tumbled down the field. Muller-Madsen, his teammate, goes ahead of him. So Muller-Madsen's been off the road on this lap. And now look for the race lead, absolutely together. Gabriele Piana up the inside line, 6 minutes to go. Suddenly the race is ignited. Marco Signoretti up front. chased by a car that started 19th on the grid. Piana, hugely experienced, goes to the inside line. Signoretti just gives him enough room, but not as much as Piana needs. This is the bit of the racetrack where Marco Signoretti has got to make full advantage of the power of the Mustang to try and get away from the BMW, but the BM is pretty decent in a straight line as well. Piana trying to get into the wheel track to get a tow if he can. And Marco Signoretti then is going to have to work like fury to hang on to this race lead for 5 more minutes, because Gabriele Piana, the reigning champion, started 19th. Look at that progress, lap after lap. The car's been working its way up the order, and Gabriele not done yet. New team for him this year, moving from the RAFA Motorsport by Bond team up to the Borissan Automotive squad that's been running BMWs for a long, long time. And right there on the tail of Marco Signoretti with a hard-charging Benjamin Lessen behind, although Lessen, don't forget, will get a penalty. There you've got the Alpine getting up the inside. Antoine Leclerc now moving himself up past Robert Consani. That Audi fading in the second stint of this race as the cars now come down again towards the stadium. It's still Signoretti in the lead. It's Piana second. Mustang versus M4. Ford versus BMW for the race lead. And just about everybody involved in the fight right now. Robert Consani there, having dropped further ground on this lap. The leaders, though, nose to tail, coming up towards the timing line once again. Marco Signoretti there, with Gabriele Piana right on his tail, and goes wide, off the road, 2 wheels on the grass, keeps on coming, gets back onto the racetrack on the outside line. Marco Signoretti elbows out, leads into turn 1. Just under 4 minutes to go, and a flying lap is 1 minute and 51. So certainly 2 more laps of pressure for Signoretti. It's through the stadium where the BMW is the stronger car, and it comes out of the Sud curve so much better than the Mustang. I wonder whether or not in the heat the Mustang's tyres may well have now passed their best. It's to the eye a big heavy car. The BMW has admittedly worked its tyres pretty hard to get up the pecking order. So again, on this part of the circuit, Signoretti trying to break away from Piana. This is where that gap can extend. But it's in the stadium where it comes right down again. Under braking here. Marco Signoretti needs a good exit from the Spitzkehrer, which he gets. Gabriele Piana right there behind. 3 minutes on the clock. Flying lap last time was a 1 minute 51. So the race leaders heading into turn 8, the Mercedes Arena. There you've got the Antoine Leclerc Alpine all over the back of the Aston Martin. Mathieu Villagomez fending him off for now. Robert Consani next up. Leclerc out the inside as they come down towards the stadium. So the tiny-looking Alpine goes for position. Meantime, this for the race lead. And Gabriele Piana tries to go all the way around the outside of Marco Signoretti coming out of the Sachs cover. That gives him the inside line for the next sequence, and this could well give Piana the race lead if he can stay alongside, and he can, and he goes through. Gabriele Piana at the inside line, roughs up Signoretti, forces him wide over the curb, and the BMW has done it. A remarkable effort this, with Benjamin Lessen now in the mix in 3rd place. And I think Signoretti's tyres are what the problem is. That car looking a little bit skittish, the pace is ebbing away. His last lap, a 51.8, Piana race leader. Now Benjamin Lessen here, remember, gets this time penalty at the end of the race. Marco Signoretti hanging on a 2nd spot, 1 minute and 52. There's this lap and 1 more still to go. We've lost the 77 Tom Emson Elite McLaren, incidentally. Not for the first time this year. That's the car that has the bad luck and the reliability woes. So Gabriele Piana, new race leader. This is Benjamin Lessen's view as he thinks about making a move on the inside there to try to get up past the Mustang. Can't do it. Car number 97 has just been penalised as well. Still they come, late race, and that is for a short pit stop. 97 is the Mats Olsen, Stefan Nielsen car. We've also got a penalty that's just been given to 46, I think that was, for contact, Julien Brichet, Jean-Laurent Navarro's car. So there's quite a lot to shake out of the system come the end of this race. But you can see now, as Signoretti defends from Lassane, that means that Piana is getting away up the road. So the leader onto his last lap then, 22 seconds to spare. Through he goes. Replay of the battle here. Antoine Leclerc up the inside of Mathieu Villagomez coming into the stadium. A little bit of contact between the two. Villagomez forced out wide through the gravel, hops and skips and jumps his way onto the grass, but carries on, although Villagomez now down in 9th place. So, last lap of what has been a very, very lively race in the GT4 European Series here at Hockenheim. And it is Piana from Signoretti from Benjamin-Lassane with a penalty. 4th, Alex Papadopoulos ahead of Antoine Leclerc's Alpine. You can see the damage hanging off the back of the Aston Martin there. There are some championships that really do not like flapping bodywork and will give you a meatball flag straight away. But here Villagomez tries to fend off Tano Neumann, who in turn has got Nick Malloy behind him, and then Maximilian Anglard. But Gabriele Piana looks as though he is going to be on target then for a first victory of the season. He came close at Misano, but a puncture cost him. There is Marco Signoretti hanging on a 2nd place, but you've got a feel for the Mustang team, really. They've led pretty much every lap, apart from the 2 that count, the last couple. But Marco Signoretti and Eric Evans so near and yet so far. Benjamin-Lassane trying to get himself 10 seconds away from Alex Papadopoulos, which I don't think is going to happen. So that car in jeopardy of losing quite a lot of places before the very end, but the final lap is almost done. Lassane comes through turn 12, and there up the road ahead is the flying Gabriele Piana. 19th that car started, and up to a race win. Quite a turnaround. Yet again, the BMW showing good race pace. Into the Sud Curva comes Gabriele Piana, the reigning Silver Cup champion, is going to take a maiden 2024 win, and after a really good stint as well. There's the checkered flag, and so it is a win for the Borusan Automotive Motorsport team. Beke Bessler, Gabriele Piana win at Hockenheim from Marco Signoretti and Eric Evans. And for 3rd place on the road, Benjamin-Lassane and Ricardo van der Ende, but there's a penalty applied to that car. A delighted Piana pulled right up to the pit wall and came to a halt to celebrate with his team. There, over the line to win Pro-Am, Tano Neumann and his Israeli co-driver who did the first stint in that car, Elon Gabe, both doing a very good job. The winning Am almost goes without saying, because yet again it is Pascal Houteau and Laurent Hergon, win number 6 of the season out of the 7 races. So the field pouring over the line, and for 1 or 2 teams, a little bit of repair work to be done before tomorrow's 2nd race, the grid for which we pretty much know, barring any penalties and grid drops that might be lurking. But what a drive by Gabriele Piana and Beke Bessler, taking the outright win, and of course Silver Cup honours as well. Marco Signoretti, Eric Evans for 2nd place, and waiting to see what happens to 17, Benjamin-Lassane's car, which we had been told had a penalty, but it's not yet been changed on the classification page that we've got. That's Maximilian Anglard, who has parked it on the slowing down lap. So 1 or 2 cars perhaps lucky to get to the end. Pro-Am then, won by Tano Neumann and Elon Gabe from Noah Bamramchik and Paul Petit. And then from the pit lane start, good effort this, Alexander Weintraub, Stanislas Savronov for 3rd. And the AMs, well, there's your winning car, Laurent Hergon and Pascal Houteau. 2nd of the AMs, Julien Leandri, Frederick White. And 3rd, the Audi number 300 of Nico Markovics and Adrian Pavio. So the field comes towards the pit lane. And a very busy race, one of the busiest of the year, I think. Some good racing, that's for sure. Lots of drama all the way through. And we're just waiting for the timing screen to update itself. So the cars making their way down the pit road, stop at the podium. Now, interestingly, number 17 BMW has been parked there, and the NM Racing team would like clarification because they think third place ought to be theirs, which I would concur, seeing that it got a 10-second penalty. There's the winning car then. Gabriele Piana has had a very slow in lap, but you get the feeling this is quite a special win. The way that he celebrated when he went past the team was rare, if you like, for a driver to show quite so much emotion. Gabriele has certainly won plenty of GT4 races over his time in the category. This one of the sweetest. Right, the timing screen has updated. Benjamin Lessen and Ricardo van der Ende put into 7th place overall. So 15 of Alex Papadopoulos and Luc Ibaniev confirmed in 3rd position. Had another penalty to go the way of the other NM car. Andy Cantu and Charles Dawson have been penalised for causing a collision. So it takes a little bit of time for all of these to work their way through the system and then to have the penalty applied, but we are getting there. We are getting there. So very shortly, we'll have the winning drivers heading to the podium. Some very happy teams already in the pit lane. But for the Borusan Automotive Motorsports squad, the Turkish team has been a really big supporter of GT4 European Series for the last few years, with plenty thrown at them, like COVID preventing people from racing one weekend in France, to damaged cars, to having to borrow cars, you name it. The Turkish team, very proud of the Turkish roots, coming good here. Great to see. And Gabriele Piana, I'm sure, has been a big part of that, helping the team progress as he and Beke Bachelor celebrate the win. Gabriele specialising in the BMW GT4 and bringing all of that knowledge to the team this year. Stands on or falls off the car. He's got his winner's hat in his hand, but first of all, there's a helmet that needs removing and all of that. But well done, Gabriele Piana. Excellent, excellent drive. Gabriele Piana goes to thank all of the Borusan team. It's not the first win the team has had. That was a Misano win last year, when I think I'm right in saying it was Beke Bessler and Tom Edgar that fended off the Bonk Motorsport car of Gabriele and Michael Schrei, but it certainly means a lot for Gabriele after a difficult start to the season to come through and take that win. And congratulations from other drivers, including, I think, Benjamin Lessen, but he's about to be given the bad news that you're not required for the podium. So, Borusan Automotive Motorsport busy celebrating. This could be quite a party tonight. And let's try and hear from our race winners. A delighted Beke Bessler and Gabriele Piana. Antonio Rankin is down there too.
Whilst Gabriele celebrates, Beke, guys, where did that come from?
Yeah, it was a really difficult race. I mean, we knew that the car would be really fast in the race, but we just didn't expect P1 overall. So yeah, we are just happy. We are just really happy. Very big thanks to the team. They made a really good job. I mean, from the beginning of the season, they just worked really hard, and finally the hard work paid off for them.
Gabriele, what was going through your head when you finally took that P1?
I think you can see what it means for the team. So, you know, last year was a very successful year with a different team, but this year we had a very difficult year with this team. Like, we could never get it. We should have won in Misano, and we had a puncture, and in Spa we had a, the bad weekend, and it just didn't seem to get right. And even today in qualifying, we just didn't have it. Then we sort of like turned the sock around, completely changed the car, and seems like it's working a bit better. But with this condition, of course, we knew already that we were going strong, but I would have never said we could win. But when I immediately saw out of the driver change that they were there, I said, okay, there is a chance. And but I'm so happy for them, really. I'm just so happy for the team.
Well, the hard work has so paid off. You won, you did it!
Finally we did.
Congratulations, go and celebrate!
Beppe Bessler, Gabriele Piana take the race win here in our first GT4 European Series powered by RAFA Racing Club race of the weekend. And the BMW, Gabriele Piana is dead right. They have had a tough start to the season. They've had all sorts of woes thrown at them. But that has been a very good result, and shows good teamwork to bring that car home victorious. The BMW M4 has had a great run in GT4 racing, and looking so strong here as well. Race results then: Beppe Bessler, Gabriele Piana the winners. Eric Evans, Marco Signoretti so close to a great win. Second in the end from Luc Ibanez and Alex Papadopoulos. Benjamin Lariche, Robert Consony fourth from Josh Rattigan and Tom Levin. Then Ivan Ekelchik and Nikolai Moller-Madsen from Ricardo van der Ende and Benjamin Lecen, penalty applied. 8th, Jamie Day and Mathieu Villagomez, ahead of Emil Heyerdahl and Nick Malloy. 10th to win Pro-Am, Elon Gavet and Tano Neumann. 14th to win in Am, Pascal Houteau and Laurent Hergon, a 6th win of the season. So, a very busy race. Good effort in the end for Frederic Roy and Jean-Mathieu Leandre up from the back of the grid to 21st. I know there were quite a few that didn't make it to the end, but that was a good run. Look at the highlights then. Quite a lot of these, I suspect, because it was a really lively, busy, dramatic race. But it all began with that Mustang and Mercedes lead battle. It was Luc Ibanez that led away, but it wasn't long before Eric Evans got up and passed him. We had running wide on the opening corner Finn Zulauf. He was able to recover, and it was Eric Evans who led just before we had a safety car period. Then we went back racing, and there was a little bit of hit and shoulder that put number 11 BMW of Pedro Ibrahim off the road. After the pit stops, Alex Papadopoulos was ahead of Marco Signoretti, but the Mustang on its second flying lap was able to move its way up the inside as Papadopoulos got used to the car fresh into it. The Mustang playing to its strengths and getting away. And maybe if we hadn't had a late race safety car, it could have hung on in there. But Gabriele Piana was able to use that to his advantage, get up the inside of the Mercedes to take second place, and he just kept on pushing, got closer and closer and closer to the mighty Mustang. And this was the move, side by side into turn 16. Up the inside went Gabriele Piana to take the lead away from Marco Signoretti. A great win for the Borisov Automotive team. Marco Signoretti and Eric Evans second, but a race win for Gabriele Piana and Beppe Bessler to come out on top in race one of the GT4 European Series powered by RAFA Racing Club. Victory to the BMW, and there's more drama to come in the GT4 European Series tomorrow. For now though, from Hockenheim, it's goodbye.